And do you have a favorite work in the show?
That's always a very difficult question to answer.
So I want to talk, how did you first discover Mike's work?
I had seen his project show at MoMA PS1. That was, I think, 2006, 2007, and I just found it interesting, so it stayed with me. He was represented by a different gallery at the time. At a certain point, I said, I was aware that the gallery had closed. Why don't I call him? Mm-hmm. So I simply called him and made a studio visit, and then kind of offered him a show on the spot.
What year was that you...
2014.
Okay. And you've shown with him multiple times since then before this show? Or?
Yes, yeah. He had 5 solo shows proper at the gallery here, but we also presented his work in solo presentations at Art Basel Miami Beach, Frieze London, and most recently, where did we show it most recently? Yeah, Frieze, Art Basel Miami Beach, Frieze London, and The Independent.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you talk about what it was like when you first saw it in the studio? Did you see it first in the studio?
No, it came to us here. I visited Mike in Rome, at the American Academy in Rome. He was working on these pieces, but you didn't see in anything. The only thing you saw there was kind of shapes. That's kind of a fish shape. So with like some wooden sticks, etc., even not these broomsticks, he had various shapes on the wall. You couldn't imagine whatever that might be. Really didn't know. So what he did is he took all these, this is joinery here. So he took it apart, and then we shipped the broomsticks and we shipped the pens from Rome to Chicago, and then in Chicago he wanted to put it again together, but then it was too painstaking for him to actually reassemble it and put them exactly back into place. It's sometimes often very, very difficult. So he simply decided to re-stretch the canvas into these constructions and repaint it.
And it was, and we can move to the next one down here, it was not shipped, it was shipped from Chicago to you like this?
Like this, yes.
Okay. And did it come in like almost like an A-frame, or?
We usually have the help of Mike and his wife there. They are really generous in packing them for us. Okay. Those came separately, but the brooms were fixed to the broomsticks here. So this, because also it has a depth here, you see the spoon here, so they were literally in shadow boxes which were relatively deep.
And then are they just on screws on the wall, or are they just resting?
Some of them are resting, but they're always secured. You will see throughout the show that each work is presented slightly differently. The instruction from Mike was, they should all stand on the floor. So we said, some of them I think work better standing on the floor, leaning against the wall, being just like 5 inches from the floor. So for each work, we devised a very specific hanging.
And do you have a favorite work in the show?
That's always a very difficult question to answer, to pose to a dealer. Okay, so I have specific relationships to each of the works.
Please take us around.
Okay, so I think that this work here, the Erdan Star of David, I think it's a very likable work, right? I think the scale of the work, I think the coloration is just great. It's a collector of ours who bought it. It's the first work which sold. We could have sold it 3 times, seriously, but it's an original, of course. So I think it's, it's a work with which you can establish very easily a personal relationship. So another work I think is really very cheery, really endearing. Is this piece here. It has the shape of a teepee, and it is about how to clean a tent. So it's an unusual subject matter within an art context here. This is also something which is very at scale at home. You can imagine having that at home. It's just also something which brings joy into your life. It's all the shape and the fanciful handmade props. Is something you will like to look at every day.
For this work, you had said that you could have sold it 3 times.
Yes.
What is your approach to when a collector says, oh, I love this work, but it's already sold?
Oh, I will first try to make it not so painful. I want to suggest, of course, there's a demand for the artist work. It was already sold before the opening, so that I don't want to make a person feel bad about not getting something, because that regret might block another sale.
Yeah.
You try to warm up people to see, to see the quality in all the other pieces too. Yeah, this one here is I think the kind of easiest work in the show, because in terms of its writing, it's not so complex. It's a star. 5-pointed star. It deals with notoriety, an American Star Review, so it's kind of like an American painting.
Did you get the gallery with this amazing green floor, or did you put it in?
That's a question I have to answer so many times. I always say, it was a sheer happenstance. When we came in here, we cleaned the floor, so the floor was all over encrusted with like these little chips of green, whatever plastic that is. That was like a crocodile skin.
You have a very European model for your gallery.
It's just my understanding. You can also see this as a limitation, that I didn't adapt to that model, right? And it also has to do what I expect from art, right? So I expect from art to poke holes, so to speak, in our consciousness, opening up doors. And I see myself, and that's a more European understanding, as a mediator of art. So I have to come here to the 4th floor. They already took the time to go through the building. They come here, so they're open to spending time here, because they made the decision before. Yes, I go up there to see the show. This is more like a museum piece, because it encompasses all the aspects of this body of work, and has a certain scale which would look great in a museum setting. So this for me would be a great example, also in terms of scale, in terms of the various points he makes in this body of work, to be representative for the artist, for that time frame, for this particular show in an institutional setting.
What is the turnover to your next show going to look like? Are you worried about packing these works back up? Is Mike being flown in or anything?
No, we do that. An art handler comes in on Monday. The ones which are sold are being delivered, and the others go into storage. And then there are 2 which will still be available, and we take them to Miami.
Okay.
For the art fair. If art then is able to do it, then it speaks for the art itself. So I don't want to make it too easy for the art.
Yeah. Amazing. Let's leave on that. Don't make it too easy for the art.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Because it's too easy, then anything goes, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a problem. So.
Yeah. The beauty of the chase and the challenge.
Yes.
Thank you. Alrighty. Thank you, everybody. And yeah.